first and second attempts. So these were interesting. I remember this moment. So it's like,
so do I.
Do you want to ask that question?
So how did we feel after the first attempt didn't work?
And what kept us going into the second attempt?
And what kept us going into the second attempt?
I don't know. I think there was a couple of things. There's obviously the disappointment that it didn't work. But for Verity and me, because you empathise with your partner, you should. It was the fact that you'd gone through so much.
For me, it kind of felt like a grief. You're kind of grieving for what you really wanted it to be. It was really difficult, and I can imagine that's the same for anybody who ever gets a negative pregnancy test when they really want a child. You're grieving the life that you had planned in your head and this little baby, and it's really hard. It's a really, really difficult thing to happen. But what kept us going into the second attempt, what gives you that push, is how much you want a child and how much you want that family. So that's what kept me going.
I think it was that thing of you've gone through so much to get through to get to where we were already. Like, why stop? I think we always knew as well. Like, I think it's something you prepare yourself before you go through that first time. Johnson, more water.
That's okay.
Before you go through that first time, is that it's probably not going to work the first time.
Mm-hmm.
It's like 20%, like it would be. I think it's slightly less.
I think it's like 13 to 20%.
Yeah, it's really low, isn't it?
It's very low.
So you kind of know that it's, but. And again, I'm not saying anything negative about any particular approach, but I don't know, there was a part of it where it was so intrusive and so much was in it, and there were so many negative moments because of how it impacted you and made you feel, that you kind of felt like it, I don't know, in some ways that it was harder for it to happen as opposed to the third time when it did.
Well, I suppose like the stress that kind of,
there was a lot of stress.
And that may have played a huge part into why we didn't fall pregnant the first time.
Yeah. The second attempt, well, it wasn't an attempt. So basically, when you go through the process, as you start your medication, then I think a few days or a week after, they start doing follicle growth checks. And they needed, and I can't even remember what they were, the size it needed to be, but it needed to be growing by a certain amount each time you went back in, and you went back in every other day.
You could only have a maximum of 3 follicles.
Was it not 2? Or would they take 3?
I think the first clinic would take 3.
Yeah, because if they were worried, so basically, if you ended up having like 4 follicles that all grow,
they cancel your cycle.
They cancel your cycle because
the chance of a multiple
pregnancy.
High.
So, so they test that as you go. So obviously the first time that worked. The second time, it was a little bit messy, wasn't it? It kind of we were going to this sort of outpost, but it was
like a satellite.
Yeah, that's the right word. I don't know what to say. A satellite
hospital
for those checks, and they just weren't growing. But initially they kind of ramped up the gonal, or dropped the gonal, didn't they? Because they were worried and we were worried that they were dropping the gonal dosage too soon, and what it would mean was that the growth would fall off, and that's exactly what happened. The growth fell off, and I think that's because they were worried it was getting too big too quickly. So we didn't even get to insemination. And I think that was just so disappointing. That was really devastating, actually. So we call it the second go, but it kind of wasn't, because we didn't even get to the point of insemination. At what point did we start questioning things and considering a change? So I think, we moved.
Yeah, that's yeah.
We moved like 120 miles away from where we were before. So we could have carried on where we were, because they'd done all of the tests and everything else, and they kind of knew who you were, and you have to go through all the application for it as well. Like, it's taken very, very seriously. So we could have stayed with them and just travelled, but knowing that we would have to have those kind of intermittent follicle checks. Although with the third time we didn't need as many at all, did we?
No.
We kind of didn't want to be too far away. So we found another one. And I don't know, something about it just felt right straight away. Like when we had a conversation with them, they were really clear. Well, they had kind of mentioned the fact that, that surprises us that you're on so much medication, because you're not someone who is struggling with fertility. You just can't have a baby naturally because you're two women. So actually, we would like to start you on the least intrusive medical process and strategy, which is just to have Clomid. So that kind of felt a bit better. The other thing that was better about it, or it forced us to do, one of the things that's really difficult with some clinics is that they kind of try to get you to use their and not in a bad way. I think it's just that it's known to them and they don't have to assess their donors. So when you go to a clinic and you're just using their donors, so when you go to one clinic and you're using their sperm bank, it is very limited. And we found that the choice that we thought we might have, actually said this before, we didn't have. And that kind of, we always wanted to choose a donor based on them as a person. And, you know, you do get some information about them personally, their background, their reasons for doing it and stuff like that. And we really wanted to be able to do that. Yeah, we did kind of think, first on our list was the person and what we could tell about the person. That was the most important thing. And yeah, we did then think about things like, would it be nice, like, if they had darker hair or darker eyes, because then they perhaps, like, that would replicate my colouring a little bit more, whatever. And yeah, we didn't have that choice. Whereas with the fertility clinic that we went with up here, they said, look, we have got a waiting list for our donors, but actually what you could do is access an external donor bank that we hadn't even thought of before, had we? We didn't even know it existed, to be honest. Like we didn't join the dots. So we looked online for the different donor banks that are out there. We could put in the specific specifications what we would ideally want, and it meant that we were able to pick someone who we felt, do you know what, this is the sort of person that we would want to be the biological, you know, father of our child. That's what we would want, and we were able to do that, weren't we? It felt better, didn't it?
Yeah, 100%.
It just felt better.
It did, yeah.
And as soon as we walked through the door, as soon as we had conversations with them, the simplicity of the process that they were proposing, it just felt better for us.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah, definitely.
Looking back, what advice would we give about choosing a clinic? My advice is just do your research, get recommendations from people that you know who've maybe used clinics, but do a lot of research, because...
Talk to them.
And talk to them, yeah. I'm sure you can send emails or give them a call, or...
You get a feel for it as well.
Yeah.
And what they offer. You know, what is going to come as part of the package. I think it's fairly standard. I think most of them do, like, implications counselling, all that sort of stuff. But with the clinic that we went with in the end, I think where we were successful, I think it was talking to them and just... Yeah, they were just lovely, weren't they? It just felt, it was a really homely feel when you went there as well. The doctors were really personable and approachable.
Yeah.
So yeah, for us, I think it was a really positive experience. But Verity's right. You're always right.
I know.
She's definitely right there. Just do your homework. Do your homework.